Welcome to Matchday Live, and the team is arriving at Selhurst Park as we take on Crystal Palace in the Monday night Premier League game. And there's Nathan Ake fit again, which is great news. Now, following their 2-0 win at the Etihad in October, Palace are looking to complete the league double oversee for the first time since 1987-88, when we were both in the second division. We have won 5 of our last 6 Premier League away games against Palace, with their last defeat at Selhurst Park coming in a Monday night game in April 2015. There's Gabriel Jesus and Rodri and Gundogan all making their way inside the stadium. Now, this is our first Monday night match in the Premier League since September 2020, when we beat Wolves 3-1. And that is poor Aymeric Laporte trying to do some interviews with the broadcasters as Jack Grealish and naughty Phil Foden, look at the two of them like naughty school kids, banging into him and giggling about it. So we are about a minute away from today's team news. Good evening, everybody. I'm Natalie Pike, and welcome to Match Day Live. We're taking on Crystal Palace at 8 o'clock kickoff on this Monday evening. Now, joining me in the studio, 2 of my genuine childhood heroes. I still get giddy when I get to sit near them. I love this job, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sean Gota and Andy Morrison. Good evening, gents. Sean, feeling confident?
Yes, I am. Very confident. I'm looking forward to this evening.
Good, Andy?
Becoming more confident, yeah. When I see the quality of the players, I just know that, tonight it'll work out itself, but always a bit apprehensive against Palace.
Yeah, definitely. Away at Palace on a Monday night. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm sure you guys will settle my nerves very, very soon. So we have the team news. This is the first place to get your team news for Manchester City for any of our games. So our starting 11. 6 changes from the team that drew with Sporting midweek, but as you will quickly notice, no changes from the team that thrashed Manchester United in the derby last weekend. So that team is Ederson, Walker, Stones, Laporte, and Cancelo is back from that illness that he had midweek. And then it's Rodri, De Bruyne on his captain, Silva, Mahrez, Foden, and Grealish. So your subs bench for today: Stefan, so he's back fit as well, which is great news. Carson and Ake, Sterling, Gundogan, Jesus, Zinchenko, Fernandinho, and Mbete makes the bench today. So the same team, the same starting 11 that beat Manchester United 4-1 in the derby last weekend. So, gents, I know there was a lot of excitement between the two of you as you were trying to predict the team, Andy, and you got it bob on.
Yeah, I got it right. Sean was a couple out. No, we both went for the team, and when we think back to the United game and how strong it was, such a dominant performance, and it filled me when I saw the team sheet there. That little bit of apprehension that I have, knows what they're capable of, and I'm excited going into the game. That
derby performance, Sean, that team performance, was it always going to be that team that played in the derby, do you think?
I believe so. I think the heights that we had reached that day in terms of how we moved the ball, how we kept the ball, and also how we figured out the solution throughout the game and what Manchester United were doing. But then we went to another level in the second half, which was just amazing. And so, I think Pep looked at that and just went, yeah, these boys are now starting to produce. He probably went here smiling and thinking, yeah, they are now reaching the levels that I want them to reach. Because we always find times where Pep's like, well, he's not quite totally happy. And as fans, you go away thinking, we won 5-0, we won 6-0. He's not happy. But that game, I think there were parts of it where he's like, yeah, they're starting to reach that a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, yes, Sean. Love that. Right, if we're looking at the team, we'll start at the back, Andy. Obviously, we know Ruben Diaz is still out injured. Yeah. Nathan Ake is now back from injury and he's on the bench. So we're looking at a back 4 of Walker, Stones, Laporte and Cancelo. Now, Cancelo was out midweek with an illness, so it's really huge for the team, obviously, that he's come back so quickly.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a form. Your form players that are in that starting 11. I think we look at the bench and the strength of the bench, and I think the only person who could really maybe feel like they should be in there is Raheem Sterling because of the season he's had. It's those elite top players are playing week in, week out. The rest could say yes, they'll do a job and they'll come in and it won't look out of place. But Raheem's the only one really who I feel, when I looked at the United game, might have felt like but Jack was exceptional on the night and has kept his place. The back four is as strong as we can be.
I'm going to argue with Andy right there because
I love it when he used to argue.
Well, when he says that, I sort of look at our subs and I think, Gundogan? Listen, whenever Gundogan starts, I'm very happy. So he's not starting tonight, and I just feel that he's one of those players that's just, again, the level just maintains, it stays there. Zinchenko is another one. He's not starting tonight, but again, I love Zinchenko I don't think he's let Pep down whenever he's played. So he does a wonderful job. Fernandinho hasn't played a lot this season, but he goes in there, slots in there. So as I go through the subs, I disagree with Andy and think, where Andy says Sterling's probably the only one. I think whoever we put in their team that's a sub right now, I think we just still maintain a certain performance level. Sorry about that, Andy.
I'm going to accept Sean's point, but he's made my point for me because they're in the starting 11 today, and yes, they never ever look at a place. They slot in seamlessly, but I think Raheem is the one player this season, who in that front four, whatever rotation they come with, he's the one player who would be thinking, I think I should be playing tonight.
Yeah, he's had a phenomenal season, Raheem Sterling. Broken into the top 10 City's goal scorers of all time. I'm a huge Raheem Sterling fan. But then when you're looking kind of at the front three, you cannot fault the performance of Grealish, Foden or Mahrez in any of the games they've played in recently, Sean.
Yeah, these guys, they just take it to a level. Mahrez, again, he makes the game look like I don't know, like this sort of dance that I ain't quite learned the steps to. Yeah, and it's just like he's just so smooth with it. Again, he makes the game look really beautiful because he doesn't look as though he sweats. He doesn't look like he's out of breath. But yet he does defend us left and right and delivers such a great ball. He controls the ball. I'd like to just watch him control balls because I can tell you, it isn't as easy as he makes it look. He pulls balls out of the sky, on the half volley, on the full. There isn't many times you see him miscontrol a ball. And again, he does this at top speed. Balls are being fired in, and he just moves the direction that moves the defender, where he's able to then, make a pass or deliver a cross. So he makes the game just look so easy and beautiful, But Foden, I like his determination. Foden has a determination as a forward player that, one, he wants to affect the game, whether it's a dribble, a pass, or scoring. And this is what I like about him, because I think some players want to be these great players, but they're in the forward line, but they don't affect games. They play, they do certain things, but they come off and they go to themselves, oh, I play well. But Foden, affects the game. He delivers a pass, a cross, a shot, and you go, he scored or he's assisted. This is what I love about him as well.
Oh, I very much enjoyed that moment in the derbies. Or was it Lindelof? And he ticked the ball over and then Lindelof was gone. He was out of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful.
It is. And this is the silky skills that he has, But because I'm at the academy, I can see the stuff that they're doing. And I know, before I used to look at it and think, how are these boys able to do it? Well, they've been practicing it, they encourage it. But again, he does it at the highest level, the highest speed. It's absolutely awesome.
You can practice and encourage it, but I think it's a unique generational talent. And I'm only repeating what's already been said about him. He receives balls in areas that it reminds me of Xavi and Iniesta at their best. His perception of space and time is incredible, and his desire to run as well. Which is a facet of the football club. Every player runs. There was a beautiful clip towards the end of the game where the United player picked the ball up with about 5 minutes to go, and there were 7 players chasing him down on the left-hand wing, and there were 7.
What, they did some running, did they?
No, seven City players, just hounded him. So it's in the DNA of the club. They work incredibly hard with the talent. They work incredibly hard, and nobody more than Foden. And at the moment in time, I see the presses that he starts, and that's coming from a young lad who, of course, there'll be said at this point where you have to press him, which which way we have to force. But his football brain is so sharp and bright that he starts everything from behind. You know, I've seen it so many times this season where the turnover has come from his initial press, and like there's nothing I can say that's not already been said. You know, but it's a unique talent. It's not just yes hard work, yes a desire to be the best, but also a unique talent along with it.
We can keep saying it, Andy. I'm more than happy to just keep talking about Phil Foden. You mentioned Riyad Mahrez there a bit, Sean. I'm a huge Riyad Mahrez fan. And you know what? I'm throwing it out there. I'm going to start the campaign now. I think he's been our player of the season. We've talked about Silva a lot. We've talked about Cancelo a lot. In the last month or so, Andy, I think he's stepped it up. Now, statistically, he's scored 21 goals this season, 10 of them in the Premier League. He's had 7 assists, 4 of them in the Premier League. He's going on for one of his best scoring, if not his best scoring season in his whole career. I think he's so underrated still, Andy.
I don't think it's underrated by anybody attached to this football club, and I think anyone who understands football just a unique talent again. You know, Sean spoke then about his balance and his ability to change direction at speed and the feints that he has. And I think that he complements, when he plays with Raheem Sterling, they complement each other so well. You've got somebody who you can go to feet and they'll drop the shoulder and they'll produce. He doesn't run in behind, you know, so he might be easier to mark in the sense that you know he won't check. He checks to create space. He doesn't check to run you in behind. So he doesn't really get stretched, where Raheem stretches you in behind, which forces and it ties the back four in, or a back five. So they complement each other so well. And yeah, you know, he's finishing, and you know, it's not just the last month, as you said, it's been all season. But alongside that, I think you're sticking your neck out to say, you know, with Bernardo Silva and Cancelo, you know, they've been phenomenal. And Kyle Walker, you know, the best defender. If you want to leave anybody one-on-one, the best in world football, there is no, and I'll be challenged on that by anyone. The best in world football in a one-on-one situation, you cannot run him. He's an absolute machine, and just one after the other, we keep naming them, you know. But yeah, he's been incredible.
Yeah, and I it's a debate that I will have so much joy to have if we're forced to decide who is better out of Cancelo, Silva, Mahrez, or any of the other names.
Rodri.
Now, Rodri was in my top 3. He was in my top 3, but now I've put Mahrez in there. But we're blessed, aren't we, Sean? We're just blessed.
We are. Listen, I know we do it jointly in terms of selecting the player of the season. Well, good luck, because again, you just go through our team and you just think he's been brilliant. He's been brilliant. He's been awesome. He's been outstanding. And again, these, you know, the manager doesn't allow the standards to drop, but these players as well, you know, you could easily get comfortable and go, you know what, I've been playing well, and sort of take your foot off the gas. But within themselves, they don't allow it, but the manager also doesn't allow it. And this is what I find so fascinating, that these guys are able to sort of go these runs. I mean, in our time of playing, a manager come in and says, right, we want to go on a good run. And they're talking like 5-6 games, and that would be some draws in there with some wins. These guys have just taken the bar, threw it away, man. This is the level.
Well, talking about a good run, Sean, it was like you read my mind. So we got beaten by Spurs, obviously, on the first day of the season away from home. We haven't been beaten away from home since then. That is 13 away games in the Premier League, won 11, drawn 2. Our all-time record is 14. So if we win tonight or draw, we will equal our record for the longest consecutive away games without being beat.
This is absolutely phenomenal. To go away from home and have this sort of racket, again, go away, be winning and drawing. You know, in our time, you'll go away and you go, hey, we could pick up a draw. Well, more than please. But these guys, the way we play is the way the manager, in terms of the tactics, we go away from home and it's like we're at home in terms of how we play tactically. So this is an absolutely phenomenal racket that you know, what these guys are doing in terms of consistently, consecutively.
On those records, Sean, you know, when they start, and you know, we had runs last season similar, and it's the manager will not sit in front of a group and say, we're going to go the next 14 games. The manager will say, we're going to win the next game. We're going to prepare for the next game, and it builds from that. It's impossible to say, you know, we're not going to lose in the next 20. No manager would ever say that, but we're going to be so ready for this next game that's coming up, and that's a strength that the club have. Every single game they turn up, every single game the mindset's right, and you know, and I think that's where the expectations as well, and the levels of what they've produced over the last 3, 4, 5 years since Pep came in. The standards are incredible. And they maintain that, and they know what's expected of them, and they know they can't drop off. And we've also got a club chasing us down, which adds to the tension.
I find it amazing. Like Pep comes in and says, "We're going around. Let's say it's 5-6 wins." And Pep is, yes, we win your next game, but who motivates Pep? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it just the results? Is it just the results that, we've won, so therefore he's motivated? Because sometimes you can get the person that's always, and you're probably a good person because you used to always come in and motivate the team. You come in and you just go, right, come on, lads. I mean, I have my own motivation, but there were times where you probably saw the team and went, they need lifting. But who lifted you to make sure that you was there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So who's lifting Pep? Like, is it just the results? Is the performance to say, I'm really happy with that United performance, for instance, and say, that's lifted me. That would have lifted him as a manager. Because, again, he is notorious in saying, this is the level, and we're not dropping below that level. Phenomenal. 14 games away from home, wins and draws. It's mind-boggling.
Who lifted you, Andy? Who was it?
I think with Pep, I think there's unique people at the very highest level, and I watched the Last Dance with Michael Jordan, and there was characteristics in the way he went about life and his sport that I see in Pep, and there's something innate, burning desire in him to be the best, and it doesn't come from anywhere else. It doesn't come from other people motivating him. There's nobody saying, come on, Pep. No, it comes from within. And there's a strength there that's unique. And there's a few people that have it, and I think Pep's one of them. And we're blessed to have him.
Love that. Right, before we move on to talk about the Palace team, I've got a quick quiz question that I've just made up for the both of you. Somebody in our starting 11 today, back when we played Palace in January 2021, so just a little over a year ago, somebody in our team scored a brace against Palace that game. His only Premier League brace. Any ideas who it was? At the time, he'd gone 130 matches without scoring.
Are you starting?
He's starting tonight, yeah.
My
Scored
mind,
a brace against Palace.
Because you're talking goals, my mind went...
I've got them.
Brace.
And
you don't normally think...
130 games, his first league goals for City.
Why? I don't know why I'm thinking Stones. And I think it don't seem an obvious thing, right? But I'm thinking the factions ask this question. I'm thinking a defender as opposed to where we'd all gravitate to is the attacking players. We're not in this together. Who do you think?
Who are you having, Andy?
It's a guess.
Okay.
Cancelo.
Okay, so it was John Stones.
Hey!
Scored a brace January 21 against Palace. He'd got 130 games without scoring in the Premier League, and they were his first league goals for City. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Do you think we might see it tonight, Sean, or are you a bit optimistic?
Yeah, well, listen, Stones is in the final third. Again, he's somebody that gets his head on the ball as a centre back. So, why not? Why not? Why not?
Why not? Now, if you would like to ask our guests any questions today, you can do so using our WhatsApp number that is on the screen now. You know that I like you to try and test them. So it can be anything, tactics, about their careers, anything you'd like to ask them. And I will put as many questions as I possibly can to them. And remember at this point as well, if you're not watching on the City app, if you are a star to you, if you're not watching on the City app, get that downloaded now so you've got plenty of time, because that is the best place to get your commentary with Alistair Mann and Michael Brown. Now, we're going to have a quick look at the first clue now on tonight's Who's Stat. Now, as you know, you need to look at these clues and work out who the current or former Manchester City player is. So, clue one, gents. This player is a Champions League winner. Anyone jumping to mind? Former or current City player? Who's won the Champions League? Obviously at a different club. Ooh, there's some really serious thinking faces going on here.
It is. I'm sorry you could hear me thinking at home.
Any ideas? We're going to wait for clue two?
I need clue two.
Andy's. I'm going to chuck it. Yeah.
Okay. Right, that's Andy's first guest. Do take part. Let us know. Do hashtag Man City, and we'll give you another clue a little bit later on, and then a third clue at half time. I think I know who it is. I think I know. Do you? Right, we are, of course, playing Crystal Palace tonight. Kickoff is 8 p.m. Let's have a look now at the Crystal Palace starting 11 for tonight's game. So, the starting 11 is Gaita, Klein, Andersen, Gurhey, Mitchell, Kouyaté, Schlupp, Gallagher, Elise, Mateta and Zaha. That is your starting 11 for Palace today. Your subs: Butland, Matthews, Ward, Tompkins, Riedewald, Ayew, Eze, Benteke and Edouard. That is the Palace team and the Palace subs for today's game. Now, of course, when we think of Palace, I immediately remember, Andy, that they beat us. They beat us earlier in the season here at home. They are the last team to have kept a clean sheet against us as well. It was 2-0 that day. We didn't get any goals either. In terms of Palace's season, they're sitting kind of mid-table. Obviously, Vieira came in as a new manager. What have you made of their season as a whole?
It's been a little bit stop-start. They've had some runs. They've had periods where 4, 5, 6 games they haven't won, but they've always managed to find a performance and a result that's kept them comfy outside of that sort of bottom 4 or 5. There's obviously an energy that comes from the manager. You know, there's a change in direction and how they want to play from when Roy was there with his backroom staff. It's different now. And they're trying to play a brand of football that's more reflective of modern day. I don't think they perfected it. I think there's mistakes in, and I think that's something that we can exploit tonight. I think they make mistakes in trying to overplay in the wrong areas when they're not suited to do it, but they're asked to do it and forced to do it. When you're forced, then you're under pressure and there's mistakes that come from that. That's one part of, you know, a weakness that I've seen in them. They can upset the rhythm of a game like they did at home. You know, when they beat us, they have players that can hurt you on the counter-attack. You know, what we don't struggle with, but when the ball turns over, if we're left in one-on-one situations, then that's where the team's danger is. You know, we saw that with Sancho when he come inside in one-on-one and finish. But in Zaha, they've got somebody who is very, very talented in them moments. And, you know, just looking at the...
This is his goal, Andy, from when they beat us.
Yeah,
What did you make of that Zaha finish?
I was a bit lucky. You know, it's bobbled in twice, but again, he gets himself into positions, and he's difficult to handle in one-on-one situations. He can go inside and outside. He's shown he can finish on the edge of the box. And he's a real danger, you know, and he'll be the key. You know, if he plays off the left, then I wouldn't want anybody but Kyle Walker up against him.
Strangely enough, when I think about Zaha, I think Vieira may play him up the middle. And whether that's whatever system he may play, whether it's 5-4-1 or whether he plays a 5-3-2 and has another partner alongside him, because I think he can't afford to have Zaha not be backtracking because the amount of possessions he's going to have. So I can see Zaha playing up the middle. We know how good Zaha is in terms of that one-on-one and being able to draw fouls and stuff like that. So I think that may be a tactic. I wouldn't be surprised if he done that. But in saying that, when I look at their team, I see pace, and I see pace from the point of them counter-attacking.
Now, Sean, this is Zaha doing what he often does as well, causing trouble.
Well,
And this is Laporte getting sent off. What did you make of this, Andy?
It's a red card. You know, at the precise moment that the foul's committed, there's no cover. Now they're going to get back in because he's got to then, from a starting position there, he would have to break. So it would have come back round, but we shouldn't have lost the first header to start with. Laporte's got himself into a poor position and got rolled, and it is a red card. And you know, it was a massive moment in the game. Although we did have chances after that. I think it was a late goal that kind of flattered the result. But he's a handful. And Sean may be right. I'm looking at the bench, and Ayew, Benteke, and Eduardo, who are through the middle, and neither of them are playing. So it's a good shout, Sean, that maybe he will be.
Well, when we look at that,
that's what he's doing there, isn't it?
He's right up the middle. So that's whether because managers try to play mind games not mind games. They try to outsmart the other. So the fact that he looks as though he was there at the time, whether he played the whole game, maybe one of those where he says. He may play him wide, but I'm just thinking when I look at the team, and they're going to be on the defensive, a low block, trying to counter-attack. And I would probably have him up the middle to get balls into him so he can try roll, get fouls, and have those one-on-one situations. So I wouldn't be surprised if he played up the middle.
Scored in their last game against Wolves as well. He's on 9 Premier League goals now. He got 11 last season. Now, we saw in his goal against us, the assist came from Conor Gallagher, who then went on to score their second goal. Conor Gallagher on loan from Chelsea seems like a revelation for them, Andy. And here he is scoring against us.
Yeah, he covered about 60 yards to get up. He won the ball back in his own half, turned it over, and then he made it. I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete, and he is somebody that breaks up play. Very, very good, dynamic, but he also makes the opposition box. He's not just a sitter that breaks things up. He's box to box, and there's a relentless energy from him, and very, he's very, very effective. And had a great season, and again, we talk about spoiling games and, upsetting our rhythm, which teams find hard to do. But in Zaha and Conor Gallagher, they've got two players that can do that.
I mean, Andy summed it up absolutely brilliant in regards to Gallagher. He is that player that can break the play up, but he does have that energy to get up. I think he's one of those players that also gets the crowd involved in the game because he wins those tackles. They get involved. That gives them that inspiration. Other players get a hype from that. And in that particular situation there, he's done well to get himself up there and then have the calmness to still find the target. So all these things, City will be very aware because he's one of those players that you pass the ball away, but you still feel like, did he just catch me on my ribs? Did he just catch me on my back or my thigh? Because he's always there niggling at you, putting a challenge in and letting you know you're in a game. So he's an important player for them in terms of breaking up stuff.
It's also a great buy if you play fantasy football, by the way. Not that you should take any tips off me. I'm having a stinking season, but Conor Gallagher is a great buy in fantasy football. Now, as you mentioned, he'd come in on loan from Chelsea, and I would say having a great season, dangerous with Zaha as well. The Crystal Palace, in terms of a team, have changed a lot over the last 12 months, Andy. Obviously, changed managers. Vieira comes into quite an ageing squad, a lot of people coming out of contract. What have you made of the job that Vieira has done since he's joined Palace?
He's done a fantastic job. Listen, he has an aura about him and a presence that, goes before him. When you've won the World Cup and captained your country, it's hard for anybody not to listen to you. And not that he would do. I've met Patrick on a few occasions, incredibly humble man, but there's times in games where you've seen that fire, in the same that in Arteta that we've seen in young managers. He has fire, and he doesn't want to sit back and go, Pep's coming in today, and there'll be an incredible respect there between them, and he'll want to make a point. And he's young and ambitious, or in one of his first real jobs in the Premier League. Yes, he's coached and managed, but the Premier League's the elite place. And he'll want to leave a mark. He will not want to be turned over. And he'll want people to go away talking about him as maybe possibly further down the line, a replacement. Energetic, you can see that the players respect and understand what he wants, and the brand of football has changed, from what it was, which was more direct and more pragmatic and disciplined. There's a bit more freedom in the way they play after a structure, but they do have more freedom, and they are trying to play through the thirds, which I think could be their downfall.
I'm really interested in what you say there, Andy. I love your opinion on it, Sean. In terms of career, Patrick Vieira, one of the greatest. How much does that play into him as a manager? Will he walk in on his first day with the players and just immediately command respect?
Automatically. As a World Cup winner, as Andy said, you just want to, you look at him and he comes into the dressing room and you're just like, wow, Patrick Vieira, whatever he says, I'm going to give a go because he's won everything. He's played with some of the best strikers in the world, some of the best defenders in the world. You just listen to him. What I like what he's gone there and done is, again, he's changed from Palace from being a team that was sort of a low block counter-attack. They still have a bit of that counter-attack about them, but they can keep the ball and they can break teams down. As Andy said, they'll play through the thirds as well. So on the eye now, they're a lot more attractive and looking like a more modern-day team rather than they just have this low block, win it, and then two or three players sort of, spring forward to counter-attack.
It does really feel like he came in and took this kind of slightly ageing team and turned it into this youthful attacking team with loan signings, with bringing players through the academy. So that is Elise coming on. I mean, Sean, you're the perfect person, and Andy as well, with your managerial experience and your academy experience, Sean, to know in terms of bringing players through the academy and your work with the academy. How do you think Patrick's worked with them in terms of bringing the youth players through as well?
Well, what Patrick will know is, young players want this opportunity, and this kid here seems to link up well with Saha. We see her in terms of how he has the composure to sort of just drag the ball. At this time, I think they were winning at this time, but he had a composure and a maturity about his game. And when he darts inside, again, he has an eye. He has this view like, I know what the picture's going to be. So he's not sort of caught off as to thinking, well, where's his centre half? Where's my centre forward? He knows these pictures, and he's like, he should be there. He should be there. That's the play I'm making. I play a 1-2. I then slide him in, or I have a shot. He knows these pictures, and that's normally you have that as a mature player because you played so many games. He seems to have that already at such a young player.
Yeah, is there any, in terms of any other players in the squad that you think Patrick Vieira will have really benefited from knowing him in terms of the player that he was, Andy? Do you think he's had any particular influence over anybody else in that squad?
Specific position-wise, I wouldn't say. I'd say, just across the board, or I just think with the standards. And you spoke earlier on, and you said about what he does is his career, what he's achieved. It gives him a great platform, but it only gives you a platform for a period of time before results have to be shown, and then gaining the respect of your players by understanding that you're talking sense and you're saying the right things, and we're taking on board what you're saying, and not just that, we're getting results. Because players will always buy into when the results come, because we all want to win. So, yes, World Cup winner, captain of France, but that gets you so far. Then you've got to put, and he's shown with the results that he's got and the performances that he brings a lot more than just his reputation to the table.
Yeah.
Well, there's one big thing as well. Again, having got a brilliant result here at the Etihad, for him, he wants to leave that marker. He wants to leave that marker that says, hey, if Pep decides to move on, I've been around the club, I know the inside the club. So for him, this will be a huge game to be able to say, is he able to beat Pep twice? Because then all the higher-ups will be able to look and say, hold on here. He knows the club, he knows the DNA of the club. He's one of those that should be on that list of 3 or what have you, and if Pep decides to move on.
And you can totally see that, because in terms of as a club, Andy, he's a real success story, in terms of coming in as a player, working with Pep, going out to, if you're thinking about the wider community of City Group clubs as well, going out to New York as well. Perhaps we can claim a little bit of his personal success.
Absolutely, but let's just kibosh this straight away, okay? Pep's here for the next 10 years,
yes,
okay?
Andy.
Yes.
End of.
That's the end of. End of. Let's hope that's the case, yes.
I love that, Andy. Yes, let's not talk about Pep's successes, anybody. And Michael Brown is on co-commentary tonight. He's already down at Selhurst Park alongside Alistair Mann. Earlier today, he said this about Patrick Vieira.
Just about to leave to go to Crystal Palace at the team hotel behind us. Obviously, it's a huge night for Patrick Vieira. He managed to obviously win at the Etihad, a great performance from his side. He's got some real good players. After him going into the football club very, very late, you're wondering how they're going to be ones for relegation, are they not? But they managed to get some great results, a great style of play. Roy Hodgson was very rigid. Now they're progressing up the pitch, and he's really doing a good job and knows Manchester City very, very well. His time with the EDS, obviously playing for the football club, and maybe that's one in the future. His development would be to try and one day manage Manchester City. I'm sure that's high up on his list, but it's difficult from a player into management. He's got some good staff around him who know Manchester City very, very well. As also from the coaching, from the Welsh FA. He's obviously got his right-hand man there as well in Ocean Roberts. So they've got the experience there at Crystal Palace. He's doing a great job, and this will be a special game for him. And over 2 games in the top flight, I think it's 1972 since Crystal Palace managed to win both games against Manchester City. I'm sure it's going to be difficult for him tonight.
87-88, actually. Sorry, Michael. That That was Michael Brown's thoughts on Patrick Vieira ahead of tonight's game. Now, we're doing a new feature on Matchday Live, and I absolutely love it. We started it in the week, and it's putting a spotlight on some of our EDS players so that we can all find out a little bit more about them. Now, this week's spotlight is Kieran Slicker. Now, he's a local boy, and he has progressed right through the academy teams from the under-9s all the way up to his position in the EDS squad. Now, you'll know his name. If you've not watched the EDS, you'll know his name from seeing him on the team sheet a lot this season, often on the bench as well. So you will recognise the name. But if you don't know too much about him, let's find out a little bit more now. He signed his first professional contract for City in July 2020.
Afternoon, Kieran.
Afternoon, Neil.
Great to see you. Thanks very much
too.
for your time.
No,
Busy
no
morning
worries.
training.
Yeah, match day +1, so a few games. Got a bit heated to say the least, but yeah, good training.
Excellent stuff. How was your journey into work today?
Yeah, so I live in the city centre now, so 15-minute car journey, not too bad at all. No traffic on the roads this morning.
Excellent stuff. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
This morning, scrambled egg and beans on cooked piece of toast. That's the usual.
That's your go-to?
Go-to,
Just
yeah.
sets you up for the day?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, sounds good, that, yeah. Now, if you were stranded on the desert island, Kieran, what 3 things would you take with you?
It's a tough one. I'd probably go a book. Let's go football.
Yeah, of
Quite
course.
straightforward, and then mobile phone as well.
Yeah,
That's
you covered all
probably
bases there, I think,
number one,
haven't you? Definitely, yeah. Can you remember what the last TV box set was that you've watched?
At the minute, I'm watching Suits, so in season 1 of that. I think there's 9 seasons, so still got quite a bit to go with that.
That'll keep you busy.
But yeah, it's good. Enjoying it.
Have you got a dream pet, and if so, what would it be?
I think everyone's go-to is a dog, but I think I'd like to be out there like a tiger or something. Something different.
Yeah, that'd definitely catch the eye, wouldn't it, if you had a
Yeah,
tiger
sure.
with you? What would you say is the best thing about living in Manchester, Kieran?
Oh, I think just how close I am to everything. Everything's like a 5-minute walk, but also just like, I think everyone you see, everyone you meet, just amazing people.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it so much. Definitely not the weather.
But it's got a nice relaxed vibe though, hasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Like everyone's so chill, and like I said, you walk in the city centre, you can kind of speak with whoever you want, and everyone's nice, I think.
Definitely. Another important one here, white or dark chocolate?
Let's go with white.
White chocolate.
White, yeah.
Excellent, yeah. Equally, orange or apple juice?
I'm an apple juice man. Apple juice.
Fair enough, yeah. What do you go for, night in or night out?
Night in, watching Suits, yeah. I'm into that at the minute, so definitely go night in.
Favourite pizza topping?
Ooh. I go ham, yeah. Ham and sweet corn.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
Decent, yeah.
And now, obviously, here, this is where all the goalkeepers work out, isn't it? And just
Yeah.
behind you, obviously, Mosaic of Joe Hart, another great City goalkeeper.
Yeah,
from the past.
my idol. Growing up watching him, I've
Did you?
ball boying. Yeah, and I've been lucky enough to kind of speak to him a bit over the past few years, which has been really nice. Getting to know him a little bit. Him obviously giving me advice, but yeah, nobody better in my opinion. Obviously from the city and stuff, the career he had, amazing.
So that is Kieran Slicker. I'm loving these EDS spotlights. We did one midweek on Egan Riley as well. If you've not seen that, you'll get that on the City channels. It's brilliant. I'm loving them. We're going to learn more and more about the EDS players throughout the rest of the season. So he is an under-18 Scotland international, which means Andy and I are immediately like, oh, okay, we're going to keep an eye on this guy, eh, Andy?
Yeah, great. Another one coming through. You know, we're getting there slowly.
We are. Yeah, we are. Now, Sean, in terms of the academy, you now work in the academy. If anyone doesn't know, give us a quick overview of what you do at the academy.
Well, every 2 months or so, I'm actually been progressing from each age group. So I've been around the 11s, the 10s, the 11s. I'm now with the 13s, and I'll be another 6 weeks. Then I'll progress to the 14s. Next season, I'll be with the 16s, 18s, and 23s. So even though we see them in passing, I don't see them day to day because the schedule of the young ones is full on. But it's interesting because when we look at the goalkeepers, even at a young age, they're teaching them the City way. First of all, when they look to select a goalkeeper, they're looking at a goalkeeper, they're looking at someone that's athletic. And they're not not that they're not bothered, but they feel they can teach them the handling skills. So they're looking for someone that's athletic, someone who has courage and is brave. So I couldn't be a goalkeeper because you got to be willing to dive at someone's feet. So if they're looking at a kid and that's showing athleticism, it's like this bravery that also goes with it, because they feel that they can teach them the other parts of, playing the ball with your feet or playing as a player, and they get them involved in certain parts of the session in terms of keep ball sessions and the boxes or the runders, as we all know it as. But yeah, so the goalkeeping side of it, again, whenever there's build-up, they're showing them the little build-ups, they're showing little clips from the first team, and it may be only just showing them sort of 3 or 4 passes as a goalkeeper. This is what you should be looking for. This is where the players are going to be. It's absolutely fascinating to see. And there's a lot of discussion around the coaches, because there's other clubs that don't teach all this. They're all about the ability. And then when you play these teams, most times we tend to beat them, but it's interesting because when those teams show up, you're thinking, how have they done what they've done? Because the kids are playing off the cuff, whereas City players are not playing off the cuff. Yeah. They know, I'm going to be here, Andy's going to be there, Andy's going to make... Some of it's sort of telepathic, but there's still a lot of freedom. So I don't want it to sound like it's rigid. It's just pictures that they all understand, but still there's a lot of freedom in there. And as they move up, they start to understand another phase of play, until they get in and around the sort of 23s or the first team, and it's like you get the whole picture. It's absolutely fascinating.
And Kieran Slicker is a perfect example of what you've been saying there. Joined at the under-9s and has worked his way up, so he really has learned, as you've described, along there. Yeah. And he'll be a perfect example of the Manchester City way. Now, we saw him on the bench in the midweek game in the Champions League. Now, in that game, Scott Carson came on for Ederson, and then this happened. So we're thinking, oh no, Scott Carson's injured. Who's on the bench? Oh, it's Kieran Slicker. He's on the bench. Now, obviously, the camera people, the broadcasters realised this as well, and suddenly they panned to him. What do you think he's thinking right now, Andy?
Can't say it on air.
I'll tell you, he'll have a shot of adrenaline. Yeah. And I remember I made my debut at 17 for Plymouth, and it was at Aston Villa. And you're just waiting, and you get that chance because it's your dream. It was my dream to play, to play for Plymouth, and when you've come through the ranks and he's ready, he wants to go, and his heart rate would have been bursting with a chance of going on, and to play in the Champions League as well at that stage, in a knockout stage, but Scott managed to carry on after a great save, by the way, very important save by him as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting because in that clip, because I've had different discussions with the goalkeeper coaches at the academy, the young ones, there's certain techniques that goalkeepers use, and if you look at Carson, he makes himself big, but he actually falls back. Some other goalkeepers can have a technique where they actually fall forward. So it's different techniques. Whereas as a striker, I never thought to have conversations with the players that I play with that were goalkeepers and say, well, what technique do you use, and how do you approach a striker that's coming at you? So I now start to look at these things. But yeah, he's made a brilliant save there, and as Andy said, the Slicker would have been like, oh my God. At the same time, like, I hope I can get on for a few moments.
Yeah, I love that. If we'd had a heart monitor on him at that exact moment. So that is Kieran Slicker. That is Spotlight on the EDS this week. Big future ahead of him. Hopefully we'll be supporting him in a Scotland shirt as a full international as well one day, Andy. Now, another man that we support, that we love very, very much, is this man. It is, of course, Kevin De Bruyne, PFA Player of the Year. Now, little fact for you both. You might be wondering why we suddenly started talking about Kevin. Well, he made his debut at Selhurst Park, coming on for Sergio Aguero. Now, that was 2015, September 2015, so 6.5 years ago now. I am quite happy, as we have to talk about our players. Now, Kevin De Bruyne, Sean, just how good is he?
I don't think the program's long enough for me to get to it, but again, you talk about a player that has everything in terms of his ability to receive balls in tight areas, the ability to give a through pass with the perfect weight. I've seen him give through balls where it actually even draws the goalkeeper out. I've seen him pass, I can't remember which game it was, but he passed a through ball through two lines, and it attracted the goalkeeper, and the player just had to take a touch, goalkeeper's out, and then just rolls it in the goal. And you just think, how does he see this? How his weight of pass, now there we're seeing his left foot.
That was 16-17, by the way.
That left foot is absolutely amazing, because normally you say, all right, he's going in on his left foot, that's okay. I'm okay for him to have a shot outside the box with his left foot. Kevin De Bruyne, you can't. He's one of those players. You just have to almost give a foul away, because he has such great ability to strike a ball, pass a ball, and the vision to hurt teams.
And hurt the net, by the way. I thought that was going to go through the back of the net.
Phenomenal how he can generate the same amount of power with a left-footed shot as a right foot. When I was shooting my left foot, I'm taking up half the turf. But again, this here.
Now, here he is playing against Chelsea again. Now, he really is a big game player, Andy. This season, this is him scoring against Chelsea. He scored against Liverpool. He scored against United. He is a man that you can rely on.
Absolutely, and I think players, there's certain players that embrace them big games and they go into them with that mindset. This is a stage, and to be a great, you need stage. You need a platform to go and show it. And to think I'm going into a Liverpool game, Chelsea, and that game against Chelsea at home where it was so tight and it was just one moment of brilliance. And I think I did the commentary on it and spoke about, it's a stage for somebody to step up. And then, lo and behold, De Bruyne stepped up with a finish that was fitting for victory. He was magnificent.
Wow.
You like that one, Sean?
I do. That. Again, the technique, it's easy. The amount of time we've seen players at the Premier League have shots where they go over the bar. What he does well is he's being pressured, and he knows he has to strike this ball just as his sort of knee height or below his knee height to keep it down. If he strikes it while it's above the knee height as it's coming up, he won't be able to control it to keep it low. You could put two goalkeepers in the goal. They don't save that. That's an absolutely fantastic, beautiful strike.
He's got a great record against Palace as well, Andy. He has assisted 7 goals against Palace in the Premier League, only registering more against Southampton's, which is 8. So 7 assists against Palace. And also he likes to score against Palace as well.
Yeah, I mean, nothing comes to mind of why Palace would be a game, but I just think it's any game. It's... what he brings and his array of finishes, and when he gets in around, with the way teams set up against City, there's a lot of times where we're shouting at.
I'm sorry, Andy.
It's just him warming up. Sorry.
I'm sorry to cut you.
Now
he's just struck that ball. It'd be amazing to see the miles per hour that he strikes a ball, because goalkeepers are diving and. I don't know why they're diving. They can't get near him. His technique and the cleanness of how he strikes a ball.
It's the timing as well.
Yeah.
You know that. It's the timing and the movement on the ball. And, he's got it in abundance. There's quality there that we see. And what I was saying is we come up very often against a deep block and we move the ball across the pitch. And it's just half a yard to get a shot off. And, I'm watching along with the fans and, you're encouraging Rodri, get a shot off a bit quicker. But De Bruyne, whether it's his right foot, his left foot, there's goals that have to be scored, and they're very important. Set plays and goals from outside the box, which change the direction of a game. And he has the ability to do that in them key areas, especially against what we come up against, 10-men blocks at times, and just that little bit different, something special, and he has it in abundance.
But what's great also is he can do this. I would be, every time I'm on the edge of the box, I'm like 5 yards around the 18, I'm having a shot. But he's such a team player. The times he gets there, and I'm thinking, shoot, and he's passing it wide or he's giving a through ball. He's such a team player. But with his ability to strike a ball so clean, I'll be like having more shots. But this just shows you he's about the team, and he isn't like, well, yeah, I know I can have a good shot at in this area, but he'll still just pass it
But
wide.
again, I think that's his football brain, Sean, because it might not be perfect, so he'll keep the ball moving to create a different angle. Then this is the one now, I'm going to let it go. And ultimately, when he does, when he's unopposed and he gets them shots off, the keeper's neither got to pull a save off or it hits the back of the net. You know, such is his quality.
And talking about his assists there, Sean, so last season, just as a reminder, it was 18 assists. The season before that, 23 assists. Spectacular player, and he has a spectacular mindset as well that I find really fascinating. I really enjoy listening to Kevin De Bruyne in interviews. Now, we got to sit down with him this week, and I think you're going to love what he said.
Whatever competition we play, we want to win. When I start the season, I want to win everything. This is how I'm set up. For me, it's always the league and then the Champions League. This is how I like to play, so it's easy for me to be here. The standard and the way that the people think over here is like whatever competition we play, we want to win. It's hard because sometimes you see other players, they have a week off, they have a holiday or whatever, but in the end of the year, if you win a trophy or one or two, it makes it much more enjoyable. And even sometimes if you don't make it, at least, you know, if you go to all the latter stages, then you know what you did as a team. Even if you don't win anything, it's still sometimes a good job. And, you know, there's a lot of good football teams. So to be part of always, or a lot of times, fighting for these trophies shows the intention and how well we do as a team.
Pressing Chelsea and forcing mistakes. This is Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne shot. KDB scores. 1-0 to Manchester City.
Well, when I start the season, I want to win everything. This is how I'm set up. But then, in the end of the year, I can only look back of how things went, because obviously, you know, last year you would say, oh, we had the cup and the title, but we lost the Champions League final. But you have to look in a way like, how did we lose it? Did we get battered? Were we bad? You know, we lost 1-0 against Chelsea, but not in a bad way. So that can happen. So you're happy with the result. But obviously you need some kind of title. I would say it's either the Premier League or the Champions League, but I don't want to do like these things where people say we should win this and this, because then we should win always everything, or share it between us, Chelsea and Liverpool this year. If football was that way, it would be boring, so we just try to win as much as possible.
Absolutely love that. So that was just a little clip of the interview. You'll get the full interview with Kevin De Bruyne across City's channels towards the end of the week. It's a phenomenal interview. I just love hearing him talk. Although I do get slightly heartbroken when I hear him talk about the Champions League final. I can't wait to see him in a Champions League final again one day where he doesn't get an elbow in the face and injured halfway through the game. Now, fingers crossed, maybe that will be this year, because the quarter-final draw for the Champions League takes place on Friday. It is 11 a.m. UK time. Now, so far, we know obviously that we are in the quarters. Liverpool, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid are also all in the quarterfinals so far. The rest of the games, the second leg of the other four games, taking place tomorrow and Wednesday. Gents, in terms of the teams that we already know are through, it looks a little scary to me at the minute, Andy.
Yeah, it does, and you're right. You know, listen, Sporting Lisbon at that stage, the knockout stage, well, I'll take that. You know, and even in when they got the draw wrong, the original, you know, I would have taken that as well. There's ones you'd want to maybe avoid, sticky ones. At this stage now, you know, you're coming down to the last eight. There is no easy games. Over two legs, you're playing against a unique quality, and so selecting one of them and saying, I think it would be disrespectful to any of them to pick one out. You know, we don't know what there's still a couple to go, but I wouldn't want to pick one. If I had my own decision,
yes, Andy,
I would go for Liverpool.
Okay.
I just, you know, I'd want to play Liverpool over two legs at this stage. You know, I wouldn't want to get to a final and play them, because I think that I just think the experience, the history, in their DNA, it's something about that, you know, it would be a very, very difficult game. I think we can knock them out over two games. I really do. And that would be the one I'd go for now.
If that happens, we would be playing them in the Champions League, in the midweek, the weekend in the league, and then the midweek in the Champions League again. Sean, in terms of looking at the draw, so I'd say the other 4 games taking place tomorrow and Wednesday, is there anybody that's gone through that you fancy, anybody you'd like to avoid? How are you feeling about the draw?
I sort of agree with Andy for a lot of what he says, but what I would say is Bayern Munich are a team. I'd probably sooner play a Bayern Munich because I think that there are elements to their game and there's elements to their games I think we could expose. They like to do a high line, they like to squeeze, they have quality players, they have a phenomenal striker, but I think that we can get around them. So I wouldn't fear a Bayern Munich, even as well as a team they are. But I agree with Andy, to face a Liverpool early wouldn't be a bad thing. So I think over 2 games, we'd have enough to get through.
I think it would be the greatest week of my life if we played them 3 times and beat them 3 times.
Bring it on.
Now you're saying it, Andy, I'm agreeing with you. Obviously, that draw is Friday. Before then, we've got the game tonight. We're about 7 minutes away from kick-off, gents. Andy, what is your final thoughts ahead of the game? What sort of game are you expecting tonight?
I'm expecting a really tough one. I've got Sean, the super optimist, and I think as a defender and the way I see the game, I've always been a pessimist, and I've always worried about the worst outcome and then taking what comes from that. This is a really, really tough game. I went there on loan for a month, and I know the atmosphere there, and I know what the fans. There's an incredible atmosphere there that's generated, and it's quite intimidating at times. It won't intimidate the players, but it suffocates the game, and it really makes it feel like you're in a really tight atmosphere. And this is a tough game tonight. And I stuck my neck out earlier on and said if we can come through this one, and get the right result, then we really are in a good position. Because I don't see a tougher game in this season in the league than what this game is tonight.
So we win this game, we win the league, is what you're saying?
I'm not saying that, Sean. What I'm saying is this is the one that stood out for me. Even a month ago, Palace away on that Monday night. That is a really tough fixture.
So the prediction?
The prediction is if we're at our very best, we'll win the game. But we're going to need to be at our best tonight. To win this game. This is not one where we just turn up and it's going to go our way. We have to be, and if we are at our best, we'll win the game, and we will win it 2-0.
Oh, okay.
He gave all that, and I thought he's going to give me a 1-0. Well, I'm actually going to go for 1-0. I think it is going to be tough. I think it is going to be tough because, again, Patrick understands a little bit of the DNA of us. He's absolutely right about the crowd and how they get involved. I think a key part in tonight's game is us controlling possession, even to the point that if they are booing, that means that we're winning. So sometimes it may look as though, well, we're not having shots, but if we're controlling the ball and not keeping their crowd involved in the game, that's a plus for me, because at any time, if one player is slightly out of position, we can thread those passes with De Bruyne. We can get Cancelo in that number 10 position. We can get De Bruyne in at number 10. Foden, I'm going 1-0. Come on, City.
Yes, Sean, love it. Andy, Sean, big thank you for joining me. So we're about 5 minutes away from kick-off now, 8 o'clock against Crystal Palace. If you haven't already, you need to get the City app. You need to get it downloaded so that you can get the best commentary around with the wonderful Alistair Mann and Michael Brown. We'll be back at half-time to give you some instant analysis of whatever happens in that first half. Now, got to pop over to my favourite commentator. Take it away, Ali.
Well, thank you, Natalie. You're always my favourite presenter as well. And welcome to Selhurst Park. The Blues just can't shake Liverpool off at the moment, but they had the opportunity once again to open up a 6-point lead at the top of the Premier League table. City have seen off Jurgen Klopp's men in 3 of the last 4 seasons and are in no mood to give up their crown. A victory at Crystal Palace would again heap the pressure on the men from Merseyside.